am Wikali. I am looking at you. I'm like, Wikali, where were you? Ata siwezi kusema good morning. Hi.
Be nice. I know you missed me.
I did, but good morning to you, wherever you're watching us from. The show is Your World on this Relationship Tuesday, and I'm so excited about today's conversation because where for today, you better have like we have a fun somewhere. I'm at the extinguisher at this point. We need to have a fire extinguisher at this point because we'll be talking about money, okay? Money, and this is financial, aspects in relationships, marriage, to be specific, and we're asking, separate or joint? What should couples do? And is it wise to have one or the other? Or for us women, Rambonga, feature, for rainy days, nobody should know. Not your mom, not your husband, not your boyfriend, nobody should know. Not even your kids. And I'm like, that's how when you die, you take it to your grave and then you leave money to them. It's a lot, but that is what we're going to discuss today, Wikali.
Let me tell you, I'm excited about this. And it feels like it's a connection to what was being talked about in the morning. Yeah. And it's sort of like a continuation, even as the guest left Ali to Patia, his pointers, and we'll be sharing that on the show. But we are asking you a question today, and the question is, do you think it's necessary for a couple to maintain joint or separate accounts? Just let us know on our social media platforms. Is it, do you think it's necessary for a couple to maintain joint or separate accounts, in marriage? Yes. Kama yako ni yako, yake ni yetu. We're looking at that analogy and so many other
But isn't that how it should be? Yako ni yako, yake ni yetu. The Bible says.
The Bible says. Bishop is here. We'll figure it out. But we have an amazing panel, Winnie.
Yes,
maybe we can start with the introductions of our panel from your
Now,
left.
So on my immediate, I always have to do this. Left, right. This is left, okay? So on my immediate left, we have Dr. Mary Goretti Akinyi Otieno, who is a gender and women's. She's an anthropologist. I have to say that nini pole pole because ntajiumba. Hallelujah, tafatana hapo katikati that nijumbe. Hi. It is good to have you on set. How are you doing? How are you feeling this morning?
Feeling awesome. Very good.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. We're because December leo sikuji ku mince my words.
Yes.
So we're excited to hear what you have to say on the conversation. We also have Amos Ngahu, who is a money coach and founder Money Clinic Limited. He's not new here, so if you've never seen him, you must be living under a rock. It's good to see you, Amos. How are you doing? How are you feeling today?
I'm good. Thank
you okay?
Yeah.
Karibu sana. And we also have Bishop. Bishop Grace leo amesema Budoni. Bishop Grace Budoni Dalizu. I even call her Hallelujah Dalizu. And she is a senior pastor at Jesus Lives Ministry. It's so good to see you, Bishop. How are you doing?
I'm excited.
You all look lovely. Ni kama mliambiana to buy our best nini. Ndio tukitoa points.
There's a theme going round.
Yes.
That corner is very colorful.
Yes.
And then we're just bringing in.
But you're just bringing that.
We are grounding.
Remember how I was telling you this morning, I wanted to wear black, but then I remembered Bishop. Bishop and Linda, we never wear black all the time. So I tried today. Changed kidogo.
You have
but it's
done
good to see everything.
Very well.
Thank you, Bishop. Now, joint, separate. But can we just start, Dr. from the beginning? Uko kitambo way back. Because men wanajulikana kama the custodians of whether ni wealth, whether ni money, whether ni land, whether ni all these things, because they are the head of the home. Can we go back to like our grandfathers, our great-great-grandfathers, so according to the society, what used to happen when it comes to thinking about money and wealth and who did it belong to?
Yeah, thank you so much, Winnie. In the past, there was no money.
Okay.
We had resources like land, cows, hens, and all that.
Yeah.
And men were the custodians of land.
Okay.
When our boy child is born, all the land belongs to him.
Okay.
He inherits. The girl not allowed to. So it started that the men are the custodians of the resources, and therefore they distribute the way they want it and the way it should be for the family.
Okay.
So that is the beginning. But people have evolved that now this kind of wealth is finding its way in the hands of women, courtesy to education and businesses and all that. So the narrative is changing.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to ask, the role of the woman then at that point, what was it? What was her role then?
They were co-creators of this resource called land. They worked on it together. They produced food for the family together. But at the end of it, there was also a standout granary for the man, which he used to keep for others who might be coming to look for provisions such as the harvest. If you had a good harvest, the man could give the daughters who have come back, or relatives who have come back, or orphans who are in need of resources or food. So the man had a granary, and then there were granaries for the women he had in his life. But his was standalone to cushion the needy and when time arises. So
I like that women were allowed the access to this resource. Like, it wasn't just there and then the man atafanya kila kitu. So we had a role to play in multiplying.
I see, and I'm happy they said the women in his life. No, the man went to do number 1, number 2, number 5.
The reality of things then.
Yes, you know. Yeah. But I'll come back then to ask each of us. So where we got Team Gani, joint, separate.
It depends on how we look at it. But from the beginning, man is the custodian of all the monies, of all the wealth, the resources, and therefore he distributes it according to how he feels he should, for the benefit of the family. But remember, I've said things are changing where now even women have the sole custody of money. Like if you are a couple, I'm employed and it's not employed, then I'm the sole breadwinner of that family.
Yeah, so it depends. It depends. Emos, I'm not even going to ask you now because you're the expert here. Pasi. Bishop,
I'm very passionate about money issues. I'm very interested.
First of all, I've realized there's something you are dwelling on, and I'm always keen on that. When you heard that other women will be there, I saw you become very sensitive. But we'll help you later.
Will help me. I need help.
I want to say this. I want to say this biblically, from the biblical standpoint. First of all, we have to demystify what money is. The Bible says the love of money. Yes, Mikali said, I love money issues. I love, with a reason. But the love of money is the beginning of all evil, or the root of all evil. But then the Bible goes on to tell us that money answereth all things. Now, when you are married, let's say you have come together as a husband and a wife, it means everyone leaves whatever it is they were doing and comes together. Now, once you come together, I don't want to talk about the past. I think that one we leave to the professor. Once you come together, so many things become one. Your bodies become one. That also means whatever else that is involved in that marriage should become one. But there is a diversion somewhere. Once I come to you and I'm working, and he is also working, there is a tendency that I have my personal account and he has his personal account. And it may take a lot of time, which we'll be getting into later, before you come together, because trust must be there. So I want to stop there so that, because the fire I know will be there. I'm waiting for that time of fire.
I know. And Mesha said, this is where we are. This is where we're beginning. Amos, what is your standpoint on this?
Well, good morning, Ansa.
Good morning, Karibu.
And thank you for inviting me here. And you know, it's interesting that I'm between ladies. So cameraman, please protect me. in case I must say something that is controversial. I think we should be able to take an angle of, is it about doing things in agreement or doing things together?
Well,
because those are two different things. Because we have seen people who probably things didn't go well and they're fighting for accounts. And you find it becomes a very ugly war. Because the goals in the first place were not in togetherness. And there are so many things that can contribute to this. Our good bishop has mentioned something very important, that people come together, but they've come from somewhere.
Yes.
This person has come from a culture. You understand?
Yes.
They've come from a broken family. They've never seen a dependable man. Are we together?
Yeah.
Now, this is a lady who's gotten into marriage, and let's say the guy was in a proper family.
Yeah.
So by the time this lady is warming up to the idea of, I can trust a man financially,
yeah,
it was not there. So one of the things I tell people is, before you even get into marriage, and a good bishop will confirm that marriage does not go wrong, it starts wrong.
All right.
So if we can be able to start, you're courting someone, don't rush towards knowing how much just they make. Know their culture. How was money dealt with? Because this is what they're bringing, this is what they know.
Yes.
We have a culture of not teaching children about money. We just make money and that's it.
Yeah.
So you're working very hard. By the time you realize, your kid cannot even make a decision because you've been making all the decisions for them. So it is very important for us to be able to, because I think the question, what the whole topic is addressing, is the issue of trust, like she shared. There's an African saying that says, when you're peeling peanuts for a blind man, it is very important to whistle. So that they don't assume you're eating their peanuts. So it's a question of being open and saying, okay, this is where I am. I have these debts, I have these traumas, my personality is this. Remember, there are many personalities.
Yes.
I could be the spender, she could be the hoarder.
Yeah.
So chances of us, by the way, sometimes I've even seen ladies managing all their finances of the family. Why? Because their personality allows it. They have that... and you know, ladies have, you guys have the nurturing effect, isn't it?
Multiply.
Yeah. So you'll find there's some men who've set themselves free by saying, I only need this amount. Okay? All the other projects, you are the one taking care of. There are bigger things to do it. Okay? Then you'll find, again, there might be ladies who are now the spenders, and now the husbands might want to take up. So the discussion should not be whether it's a joint or not. It's about doing things in agreement. Because that is where I think the good book will tell us God commands a blessing where there is unity. Yeah.
Hey, so togetherness versus
agreement.
Agreement.
Yeah.
So it's more on the agreement. It's not on the togetherness. No. And no. Doc is like, no, absolutely no. Why?
The reason is I've said things have evolved.
True.
Socialization has also taken place that man is no longer the provider. The way he used to be, that he provides everything for the family. The money culture has it that even a woman can now provide. So it's the trust that if I'm earning and he's not earning, therefore I should be given that trust to run the family. And this has been proven. We've seen even where cases where a man and a woman go to a rally and they are given 100 shillings to take back home. The man will pass by the cafe or by the bar, spend it, but the woman will pass by the market, buy salt, buy oil, buy a matchbox, and some food. And this man comes back home and he will eat the money they were all given, but he has already spent it. So this now makes it that if a woman is earning, let her run the budget with it, and let us construct the notion that it is the man who should be providing. Things have changed. Like you've even seen the adverts when they say women are encouraged to apply. So if you are the two of you asking for that job, chances are that the woman will get it and you will not get it. So I take it that men should come out of that old thinking that they should be the ones to control the money, or they should be the ones to force the woman to have a joint account, and that joint account should be on trust. And remember what my friend here said, that when you are cracking groundnuts next to a blind man, you have to whistle to show that you are not eating.
You're not eating the peanuts.
So if that man can behave with that 100 shillings, it means he can't be trusted. When you have a joint account, he'll be going behind your back and using it and leaving you home and dry. And this was even proven during COVID-19, where you find that you give your man money to go and pay rent, he's not paying rent. You only get mesmerized or shocked when landlord says that you are thrown out of the house because it was peeling the groundnuts and they never whistled.
I like something that Amos mentioned earlier, which I think gives us an idea of where we come from and the modeling that we got growing up. And I'll start with you, Bishop. How you grew up, how you saw finances being handled at home, the conversations around money, and what role that has played in your life now.
I want to say something, and I want to say regarding myself. When I got married, I had a pay slip and I was earning, as opposed to my husband who had already retired. But there is something that Amos mentioned about personality. I'm a spendthrift. I'm a spender. So when I realized that I got married to somebody who can keep money and save money and has discipline of money, I allowed him to control my money, my finances. Okay. So the orientation here, I might not say much because when where I grew up, my father and mother were doing business together. So I never, and my father was making all the decisions. My mother never made any decision. So when it came to me, I think I was excited to spend the freedom of money. So I would spend everything. And my first bank account was under my pillow. Because when I got a job, I had no account. So my pillow was there.
I put this.
Yes, the account. Yes. So I used to remove 100. Then I realized before 2 weeks are over, I don't have any money. And I'm looking all over to see who has stolen. And again, it goes to the personality. Do you have discipline of controlling money or having that discipline of being a saver and making sure the money is spread through the time? So I want to say, for me, the person who led me is the man, and I've looked at him that way until I matured. You know, there's also maturity when it comes to money, because you move from the time it's just about you, clothes and whatever, and going for that coffee, and then you realize you have become now an investor. And when it comes to big investment, there must be some opportunity cost where you forgo some things so that you do other things. And therefore, that's when now, when I matured, I was incorporated into a joint account. I'm the one who was in discipline. It's good to say.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because a lot of people, first of all, don't even know their money personalities because of how, you know, according to how we were raised. So we were never taught about money and this is how you behave around money. Some of us are still figuring it up until now.
Can I interject? Yes. I love money, but I'm so afraid of money.
Okay, we'll come back and discuss. We'll come back and pick up from there. So you mature, but you still have. Wait, let me tell you. First of all, what is your money personality? I'm also curious to hear yours, Mikali. What is your money personality? And you at home who's watching us, before you even answer the question, you know that we're asking you today. There's so much to cover on the other side of the break. Do stay with us. We're Bishop Afraid, but also Spender. But the question of the day is there on your screen. So much to cover, and we'll also be looking at your feedback when we come back from the break. So do stay with us. Motondo imeashwa. We're just getting started. See you soon. All right, welcome back. The show is Your World, and like I said, today is Relationship Tuesday, and we all know by now we talk about all forms of relationships. Now we're focusing on our relationship with money and with one another, okay? And it's all about pooling or separate finances. And, you know, we're trying to understand the couple's dilemma when it comes to money. Is it mine? Is it yours? Is it ours? Okay? And before we started the show, as me and Bukali were like, yake ni yetu, alafu yangu ndiyangu. Siata Bible linasema men ni provider.
Utaulizwa chapter number.
Chapter number, tusiende hapo. But the question that we're asking you today is, do you think it's necessary for a couple to maintain joint or separate bank accounts? Once again, do you think it's necessary for couples to maintain separate or joint accounts? Where do you stand? Separate, joint? Depends. Like Professor said, It depends, okay? So where do you stand? Send us your views on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag us at Lubembe_Winnie at It's Mwikali Mary.
I like how you say it. Thank you, Winnie. Thank you so much. You know, before the break, there was something going on. And Bishop was saying how she loves money. She has like a weird relationship because she also fears money. And that begs the question of the money personalities that came up and your relationship, your personal relationship with money. But even before we move on to Amos and Daktari, why do you fear money, Bishop?
I fear money because I think money needs utmost discipline to handle. And I have already discovered that, or diagnosed myself, or discovered that I have a weird relationship with money. Because the moment it comes into my hands, I want to spend it immediately. I'm an impulse buyer. I don't plan, you know. I try to write as many lists as possible. And every year, it's on my list, resolution, that this time I will behave. But I end up, even if I had 10,000 or whatever amount, by the next few hours, as long as I see a shop, there is a supermarket, online buying, then that money is gone.
Do you ask yourself,
I ask myself, but now I don't ask myself anymore because I realized my spouse was more disciplined. So I use my spouse to control that. And I think that's where Amos comes in. I want to consult him as a clinician in these money matters. Yes.
I like the Bishop said, I diagnosed myself. Maybe do. But before we speak to Amos, because Amos then needs to help us understand. So what are these money personalities, and you know what informs our relationship with money? Because some people say sometimes trauma, you know, can influence your relationship with money. So a clinician on money matters. But I want to ask Doc, so your relationship with money, like ukijiangalia ile time unajita kamkutano, unajiuliza sasa mimi na pesa. What is our relationship like? Do you know your money personality first of all?
Yes, I know.
You do?
I do. I like money and I work for money.
Hey,
wow.
What do you mean work for money?
I don't like to be given.
You work hard for your money.
I work hard for my money and I enjoy what I've worked for than what I've been given. Because what you are given, you have to pay for it in a way or the other. But what you worked for, you have the freedom to spend it, to use it. And remember, as women, we have a family to run, to look after. So as much as I might love that money, I ensure that have they eaten? Are they dressed? How is the house? Do we have enough plates? Do we have glasses? Do we have all this? All this is in the hands of a woman. So as much as I have money, I love money, I love it to improve myself and my family.
I can tell you like the finer things in life, because you know what she's saying. Do we have enough glasses? Do we have enough plates? And I want to believe they're not this plates that you get to do all those things.
No, I feel like this conversation right here, to go for your clinic. We are there. We have put our troubles, even before we get into the marriage setup, we are presenting ourselves with our fears, with our love for money, with our lists that we try to follow and not follow. But what do you have to say about all the things that we've said? Because start with Bishop's diagnosis.
You know, sometimes things are not as bad as you think they are. So you will find there are people who say, I'm bad with money. But ideally, they could be using money for the right reasons. You see, you cannot be a hoarder and hold money until you're 80 for you to start spending them. You know, as you earn it, like she's saying, enjoy that money. It is it's in Ecclesiastes. It's good for a man to enjoy the work of his labor. So, and I like what Bishop has shared. You know, she inherited generational wealth and not the physical wealth. You see, for generational wealth, there is the physical wealth, there's a cash, there's a good name that can open doors, and then there is the lifestyle. You are learning. So what she did, she inherited a good lifestyle where she saw the man provide. And let me tell you something, because here we are talking to ladies.
Yes.
It is the desire of every man to provide for their family. And that is why we were told to go till the land. Yes. You guys were told you'd bear pain in childbirth. And it is a desire for every man. However, in between, a lot of things might happen. Some of us get there, some of us may not get there for various reasons. Upbringing, history, culture. So for our good bishop here, sometimes it may not be as bad as it looks. Probably all you have to do is ask yourself, realistically, for me to dress up nicely like this, okay? Instead of saying, I'll be buying one dress a month, which is a lie, say, I'll be buying weekly, isn't it? So that you have a realistic budget of saying, okay? And what that begs is a simple solution. Where do we need admission?
I'm not an admission. I thought I belong to ICU.
All you have to do in the line of that, instead of now having, because you generate money, now you need to let the money work for you so that you have a passive income that can meet all your expenses, so that you're now not digging into your active income, because there are two types of income, active and passive. So if you can be able to work on your passive income, say for the next 6 months, my budget is 300,000, 200,000, 50,000, 20,000 for myself. Because again, that is what also detaches us from money. Because if you keep focusing on money, chasing it like she's saying, you will never stop. Are we together? And that begs the question of what are some of these things you're implementing? Very simple goals. I like the way you're saying, I don't go to the bank. You'd be shocked that in money personalities, I am a spender. I am the spender here, but there are some aspects I am a holder, whereby I'll be very careful, okay, depending on personalities. And Daktari shared with us a very good scenario. We have seen men who have actually seen ladies providing. They're like, let us sit back, okay, and now advancing that, now owe unto them if they have children, because now the children, the boy child, will copy the same. And that is why you'll find even in some cultures or some parents, you go visit your parents, even men, not just ladies. You are leaving 500 for your father, but 5,000 for your mother. Why? Because you've already judged character. Are we together? And these are things that we live with I'm doing my 18th year in coaching money. And some of these you find very good backgrounds, very terrible cultures. But now it's time that we started an audit and ask yourself, before I answer that question of, is it a joint account or is it not? What am I really fearing? Are we together? What are my traumas? Are we together? Have I lost money? Have I been conned? Do I have trust issues? Or do I have a very good model of a parent who can help me do that? Because once you start doing, because even when you're doing transactions, let's say someone wants to invest in a business, they ask for books of accounts. There's auditing. So do a self-audit. Ask yourself, is it an issue of personality? What am I really scared of? Because once you get into marriage, and this person has this expectation, and this one has this one. Those unmet expectations are the ones that bring conflict. Okay? That's why I keep telling people, before you get married, please have a session. Come for money clinic.
At what point do you bring up these conversations?
It's very simple. It's very simple. I have asked someone out for a date. Let's say today. I've asked them out, isn't it? I need to ask myself, okay, I can afford the first cup of coffee. For what? Let me be able to understand this person. If after this cup of coffee I'm interested, let me start asking myself, okay, how much can I afford? Because this is important to me. How much can I afford for coffee every week or every 2 weeks? How can I put it in my budget? Can I inform them, by the way, I'm very serious with you. I've set aside a budget. We can be having coffee. Now, if this person is also serious, they'll be like, okay, that's nice. So already you're communicating that you're organized. Are we together? But now the problem is that depending if you've been running away from poverty for a very long time and you have all this money, you're throwing everything, every problem, you're throwing money at it. At the baby girl, gapi. You understand?
Small things.
And probably you're also dealing with a lady who probably can help you manage your finances. So let's have these conversations very simple. It's not the first date, how much money do you make? No. You will know money habits. Are we interested in this conversation, or we just have rushing?
But there's also that part where, and especially like the first few dates, even the first few months, say in a marriage, you want to put your best foot forward. Yes. Baby girl, anakosa because why? You know,
every day. Because I can.
And then later on, baby girl amezoea some kind of lifestyle. Alafu inafika put how ni tena, how ni dates every week, you know, how ni surprise flowers in the office for no reason, just because it's a Monday, you know? And they're like, Sasa, what happened? And then rift begins because there was no clear communication. So you help us then understand. So to what level, because you said, bring up this conversation, but not how much are you earning, but in, you know, subtle ways to just get to see who this person is around money. You've talked about how not our relationship with money, but money and culture and all those things surrounding wealth has evolved over time. So what is it that you've seen that has interested you the most? And I'm asking this because even you yourself, you said, listen, I love money and I work for my money. But I don't want to be given money. I do not want to be given. But at the same time, you say, the man is the custodian of this money. So to you, yes, you work hard for your money, but do you let, say, your partner take care of the money? Like, as a sole custodian, I have worked so hard, nimeleta. Sasa you do decide what to do with that money.
I said that is evolution, and what Amos is saying is what should be happening.
Okay.
And I don't think it is happening because men still believe all the wealth belongs to them. Even you heard the other day Trump is saying that when they separate, he will not give you 50-50 because you did not work for it. Meaning men have not appreciated that when you get married, even if a woman is not going to work, the modern work we talk of, to the office, they contribute towards your wealth by staying back at home and organizing all those things. So that is something men need to know, that even if I'm not going to the office, I'm contributing to his welfare and his well-being and to his wealth. Because if I don't do that, then he will not make it. So men should know that women are not just doing nothing, they are working, they are contributing to the wealth. Now, when it comes to joint account, I would prefer it be in joint family businesses for checking on one another. Because all are contributing towards this. When it comes to salary, the employer knows me and not the man. And it's just that understanding that I get the money, but as Amos puts it, we sit down and we plan how much goes into the school fees, how much goes into food, how much goes into this and that, so that we must have a budget as a couple. So it doesn't matter if I have the account, but I know from that account, my account, I'll contribute this and that. But remember the upbringing for a man, some men would not want to be fed by women. They say, I'm the one to provide, I'm the one to protect, I'm the one to procreate. So if you're dealing with that such kind of a man, you have to, it has to be very difficult, because he'll even demand you have joint account, he will even demand that you give all the salaries, so that is the one to do what? To distribute, because the society brought him up as the provider. And many a times you find that couples having even those separate accounts, a woman earns, a man earns, a woman even calls for, organizes for a party, or comes up with something in the house, like maybe I change this furniture. But the man will say, how do you change it? Without consulting me, or you should give me the money and buy it and bring it. So even there are cases where the men would prefer you give them the money, even if they're not working or not having, so that they go and buy it and bring it for the children to see that is the provider. So this kind of thing needs to be shaken off, because the reality is the children will know, like Amos has said, when I go home, I give mom 5,000 and I give dad 500, because they know in whose hands do we have the responsibility of taking care of the family?
Okay.
Well, that's true. There are very many dynamics to different relationships. And so that means there's also different systems in how we pool our resources together. And maybe we can share what those different ways look like, so that if there's anyone who's watching and they're wondering, okay, Sawa, we are both working, and that is the first scenario. There's a scenario where the man says, you stay at home, I will provide. Take care of the kids because of one reason or another. There's situations where it's the woman who goes out.
I wanted to say the same. Now we're seeing a lot of, not a lot, but it's there. It's becoming more common where, and we're just discussing this the other day, and there's a couple that says, so they looked at the wife's, first of all, career trajectory, and the amount of money that she was bringing home, and the husband decided, you know what, you have more, ukona future. It's like our future. So they decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay home as the husband, and then the wife continued to work, and they're absolutely doing fantastic. And we're seeing a lot of men actually doing that now. As soon as I go, I will support you in all ways, but I will take care of the home. And I'm curious to see then, how does that dynamic work from like a societal point of view? But can we answer that after the break? Because I know we're being rushed. Let's go on a break. Right about now, we need to pay our bills, okay? And the question that we're asking you, just a reminder, is do you think it's necessary for a couple to maintain joint or separate accounts? Well, we'll also be going through your feedback as well after the short break. Do stay with us, but also use our WhatsApp number 0112500400 and tell us, joint or separate? Okay, and why? All right, we'll also be going through your feedback as well. Do stay with us. The show is Your World.
Welcome back to Your World Tuesday edition. We're talking money and the role it plays in marriages. We are asking you today, do we put all the money together or do we maintain separate accounts, and why? Please indulge us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, as well as X. Let us know what your thoughts are. Is your money as a lady? Na yake ni yetu sisi wote. We've talked about the analogy of all of that, where it all began. Tumerudi hadi uko nyuma. And we're looking at you as a person, but we've gotten into the marriage beat of things. What do we do? What are the different systems that we can put in place to help us as a couple with the different dynamics that are there when it comes to marriages? What do we do with our monies?
Let me tell you, I'm learning a lot, but at the same time, I like how Bishop said, listen, mimi kutafuta najua, lakini kuspend, ninajua pia. And I like getting to that level of awareness where you know what, this is my weakness, but this is my strength. So I can contribute in this aspect ya kutafuta, lakini when it comes to spending, wewe shika mimi nipe tu yangu kidogo, okay? But there's some people who are like, I don't even know what my money personality is, and and what influences the relationship that I have with money. Some people just say, me hata sijui pesa inaendanga wapi. You go back to your account, paka unaitisha statement, unaenda kwa bank, unauliza mulipeleka wapi pesa yangu, and it is you who spent that money. Or some people hoard it, okay? So Amos is here. Amos the daktari wetu wa leo to help us understand the different money personalities, the different behaviors and characteristics, and how do we improve and do better, but also not forgetting the question that we're asking you, and that is, do you think couples should maintain separate or joint accounts? Someone here, this is on our WhatsApp number 0112500400, says, I think couples should enjoy separate accounts. However, they can still make a joint account willingly. But for ladies, try and have a personal account, please. The world is cruel to poor women. Where? And then someone says, hi, a good conversation. I have been having problems in my business for many years. When I discovered that my wife steals from the business, steals, I took measures. Now the business is good. I pay school fees on time. It is now... Where, Portland? And then someone else says, I'm really enjoying the show. Quick question. If I'm dating you and you are in debt, am I correct in stepping aside and watching you walk out of your situation because I do have my own budget and responsibilities apart from us? Emos, wewe lipa deni yako, me, I'll just be over here waiting. Ukishamaliza kuja.
I think we need to be careful that we don't give a prescription on television, because what may have worked for her may not work for us.
That's true.
And the assignment you're giving people is to go out there and do an audit. If you're married, let's have financial romance. Where we will be able to understand, like she's asking, should I step back? Should I? No, what does stepping back mean? Is it time that, is he comfortable sitting down and asking them, okay, so why did you take the loan?
All right.
Okay, what did you do with it? Was it a consumer debt? Was it an investment loan? Okay, what is your plan to repay it? Because you see, sometimes throwing money at everything may not be a solution. I have seen ladies paying loans for men, and then after that, there is trauma, character development, and everything happens. So I think people should be able to have an idea of, okay, we are married. This is where we are. We found ourselves here. What is it that you want to achieve individually? And how can I be of help?
Yes.
Because now that way you're getting to the heart of this person. I mean, Kim Katia, when you're dating, it was easy to go and make children. But now you've really never gotten to the heart of where is this person financially. We call it the lemon concept. You've heard of this couple that went to the fridge and they both needed 2 lemons, but there were only 2 lemons in the fridge. And what do you think they did? And the way it was that time when marriage was not, you know, that time you're not talking to each other. So the lemons are 2. So they said, what was the fare? Everybody took theirs, isn't it? But that on paper looks 50-50, looks fair, isn't it? But that was not the ultimate utilization of the resource.
That's true.
Because now the lady needed to bake, so she needed the peels. She needed the peels. The guy needed to make the lemonade, so he needed the pulp. So all they would have done is, first of all, the lady takes the peels, and then the guy makes the lemonade. And sometimes it's very good to ask your spouse, okay, this is what you want to achieve. Okay, why? Why is it so important to you? So that at the back of my mind, I know that I need to help her do this. And sometimes you might find we are planning a trip to, our marriage is going to Nakuru, isn't it? But probably she needs to go to Limuru. But what is she doing? She's picking a pair of shoes as we go. So her goals are along the way. Are we together? So it is very important for us to have this, because you're able to understand better. Are we together? And this person will feel hard. But if you push someone right now, we need a joint account. They'll be there, but they're not there.
They're not there.
Are we together? That brings the aspect of agreement. Okay. So we need to have that financial romance that is not about, forget about everything else is noise. The debt around you is noise. The school fees is noise. At some point, you will educate all these kids and you'll be left the 2 of them. Are we together? So, and the other thing I learned even now being in marriage is you don't have time. You don't have time. Have you ever gone to a hospital and seen a spouse, any of the spouse, could be a husband, could be a wife, going to sit with someone on a deathbed? Nothing else ever matters. You don't look at your money, you don't look at the property. You are like, okay, all they wish is that we wish we had more time. So the moment you begin to know the important things, everything else, you begin to know this is noise, this is let's work on this. Because at the end of the day, things happen. Someone can retire, someone can get sick and they're not earning. Are we together? One person can get a promotion. One of the biggest stories I got was from an elderly guy I met at, I was learning how to play golf. And this guy told me, you young men, you don't know what freedom is. He got married early, he was in banking and he used to travel. So the wife used to say, hey, you've not given me money. So that time it was joint account. So, signatory, sorry. So she was put as a signatory. And when the guy would travel, she'd be like, hey, how do you survive on this income? And he told her, you manage me, I just need my bus fare. Up to, even when he retired, the lady was, of course they had goals, they had limits on what they would discuss. And she went back to school. Right now she's a senior professor somewhere. The guy has retired. But the allowance he used to get, she still sends him. In fact, he was telling me, she needs to stop sending me this money. I don't know what to do. Because now this guy knew what is important. They built wealth, they've educated their kids. And I'm not saying that might work for everybody, because some of us have a lot of healing to do. We've gone through a lot. And we must be able to sit down with our partners and find out, why is it this thing important.
I see that. Good advice. Someone actually says, this is on Facebook, Jerry Opio, who says, before we even talk about finances, can we normalize asking, what's your money personality? Not just vibes and Netflix. Well said, my bishop, for saying what's some most fear to admit? Self-diagnosis. Hashtag Your World and TV panel dropping gems on love and money. Gen Z needs these conversations before we swipe left and before we swipe right and regret left.
I think I might have failed you. I didn't answer the question.
The money personality.
So money personalities, there are 4.
Yes.
2 are seasonal, and 2 are what could be cultural thing. So the temporary ones, the seasonal ones, what, like when you're broke, you're very avoidant of money conversations. And this happens a lot to us as men. If you're providing uambiwe hakuna kitu, you start auditing. Mbona mzimi stima, mbona you become, it's a very emotional thing. So so it happens a lot. Or when you're starting life, you're looking at your stomach. You know, you're looking at food, so there's very little time for you to start thinking of financial literacy. Are we together? So that's an avoider. It's a seasonal thing. And then there is and also when you're going through trauma, you've been conned. Anything you see about money, or you've lost a business, you're very avoidant. So that's an avoider. And then there's the money monk. Affiliated to religion. Some of us grew up being told, Skina so and so, I need the worshippers. So we affiliate.
Speak about that.
So we affiliate being rich with evil and wash vitu mingi. But you forget that it is God who gives us ability to create wealth. So that sometimes, in extreme cases, is what we saw in Shakahola, where people now are not reasoning, they are thinking and affiliating, and they feel like they need to lose a lot of money. But now the 2 main personalities are hoarders and spenders. I'd like to say something about spenders. Spenders, hawezi lala room moja na pesa. When they have money, you will know.
One has to
her walking style is different. So you will know. But also spenders, spenders have a slightly higher ability to create wealth because they're outgoing. They will buy you coffee. They will tell you, hey, we can do this and this and this. Oh, no, that bill, bring it. It's my tab. Are we together? So they have a slightly higher affinity to create wealth. Are we together? That's why we must cut them some slack. And they easily get conned. They will look for every opportunity to invest. Now when they also have money, they are a bit unwell. They are a bit low.
When they don't.
It affects them. They are irritable. Yes. They are like that because they allow what they can provide for others define who they are, and especially men. Now, when you go to hoarders, these are people who are very. It's very hard for them to release money. They work hard for it. They also don't like gifts. They don't like being given money, and I like what she said. They don't, and it's not wrong. There are people who don't like being given money. For what? No, I'll pay my bills. You go, you're saying, let me pay her bill. She's like, no. You understand? It happens a lot, and now for them, everything is structured. They actually don't need a budget. It is automatic. They will not take loans easily. They will say, let me save up too. Are we together? Now the problem is that now it takes them a slightly longer period to grow their wealth because they are analyzing. They are hearing their bonds on sale. They are like, okay, are we really doing well as a government? Or should I trust them and lend my money through bonds? And then time in a pita because the auction was today. So you will find it happens. And there's no wrong or right personality. All you have to do is make sure that everything you're doing is aligned and favoring your personality. Because if now you start working as a spender and I'm a hoarder, I will feel rushed. If you start feeling, if you tell her to behave like a hoarder and she's a spender, she will feel like, hey, I am weak with money. Yet it is not a weakness. So we have to create what we normally do in our sessions in financial therapy. We curate something that favors you. Like now, you are not allowed you to handle disposable cash. It is your worst tendency.
You're very right. I feel like saying hallelujah.
Yeah, so we have to be able to get this, and these are things that affect the way we look at money. Again, there's now personalities, there's the cultures, there's the traumas, there's the seasons.
Yes.
Okay. A guy is providing right now everything, and the wife was at home. Now there is no, leave alone now the provision. There is no income.
No income.
How do we move from there?
Wow.
It's true.
It is. It's so different. Now I have an answer for you later.
Yes.
Now I know I can see myself.
Now, very good question. Now you will notice, based on the environment, you can be a certain personality.
Okay.
Case in point.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, if a guy back at home does not trust the father, but trust the mother, he will be a holder to the father. Every project they're being told now, the issue of black tax. You're being told ng'ombe inaenda kichinjio ama inaenda kudungwa sindano. You even have someone to call and ask him, what is happening? To confirm. Are we together? Are we together? But even for us men, if you find mpatana my boys and one person says, I'm paying the bill, you know, men we flex. The other one will say, no, I'll pay for the nyama. The other one will say, because you want to flex, you become a spender then. And even for families, for men, if you have kids and you don't mind spending on them, are we together? And then, but now you'll find in some ladies, if you've gone through trauma through your husband or through your background, hey, you become a holder in that house. Hakuna pesa ya skuma, and you have money. You understand? So to answer your question, based on the environment, you'll be, and it's very important for you to identify at what environment, in which environment am I a spender? If you're meeting all of us and we are siblings, and every time, because Mwikali works at NTV, every time we eat, the tab is pushed that way, and we all look busy. So she will be able to know that when I'm with family, I'm a spender. How can I control that? Should I be saying, hey guys, who's paying before I come? Are we equally contributing so that you're able to control some of these?
I see that.
Almost that is not cultural. Because what we were brought up to believe in is that if I call you for a party this time round, next time you are the one to throw that party. Don't be the only one to throwing parties. Yeah, that is a weakness of men, but should be that when I host this time, let my brother host that time, next time, like that, like the little you have. And this happened a lot after harvest. After harvest, if it was bumper harvest, then you brew beer, you call your people, your friends, they come to you. Next weekend, the other neighbor does the same, and it goes around like that. And the same should happen even when the siblings meet. Don't be the only one that because you are with NTV, you have more. No, the little you have, you share it with others. Yes, so that when I throw, but don't be a man or a woman who is being, each time you are the one being called for a party. When do you throw parties for us? That is how the culture should have it. But now it is getting skewed that you look upon for others, think that they have it more than you have it. All of us have it. But what there should be is that when I throw it, you return. Like that.
Or maybe they might have more and their needs are even
not really needs and all that. You give back. When I do it, I also expect you to one day call me. The little you have, you spend it all together, and that is it.
I feel like that should be like a communicated expectations, because there are people also in the same community who will ride on others intentionally. So yeye anajuanga tu yeye ni hoda.
Then you are not invited. Next time they are not invited.
They are not invited.
Let me say something. And it's good that Prof has shared that. You see, there are also the generational cultures that have been there. And how I wish we would borrow from the generation of Prof. Prof, right now, we are in a generation whereby if someone makes for any reason, makes 1 million shillings, the first thing they want to do is prove they are not poor. So even when you go for family gatherings, you will say, your bill,
give it to me.
You understand? And this is not sustainable. And that's why we are saying everybody should be able to sit down and ask themselves, why is it you're doing this thing? Why is it that you're in a rush to prove to people that you're not poor? Are we together? Is it a cultural thing? Is it a trauma thing? Because that happens a lot. You go to a place and everybody else, and even, leave alone now, passing the tab, they look busy on their phones. You're picking and if you're the one paying and you get a call and you're walking away, now they are peeping to see.
Yes, so but at the same time, remember what we asked before we went on a break. Now that roles have sort of reversed, and we're seeing now more men taking up the role to take care of the home as the woman works, or others, which are say the woman has a higher ranking, you know, and so they're not, the earning is not the same. So does that then influence the decision?
Really, that is not usual, that a man takes a back seat, looks after the house, the babies, and you are working. That is, if you look at, I didn't want to go there, but conflict. Conflict will arise in the sense that a man has been brought up with we have roles. There are the sex roles, there are the gender roles. Gender roles says that a man should not be in the kitchen, a man should not carry a baby, and such like things. A man should be out there hunting, bringing things in. Yes, a woman should give forth to babies after she has been made pregnant and all that, which she cannot make herself pregnant. The man is the one to do that. So those are sex roles. But the gender roles are what I call dynamic, because they change. Like in the world where I can get a job and the rest of them get a job, I will take up all the roles of provision and all that. And that one we have to understand on another. And like these days where you still find men cannot accept to be bought for things by a woman, and still want, if the woman is the one working, to give him money to give back to me for the case, for the purposes. These are the things we need to change slowly and all that, so that there is no competition, there is no fighting among people. That even if I have my own account, he knows what I'm earning and he knows what I'm spending that money for in that house. That is the understanding which should be there. But not that I give it to you to show that, no. The trust.
See, we're respecting the head of the home. In as
no, it's the head of the home, but the things, the source of wealth has changed from land to money. It wasn't there before. So let us use this money for the glory of the family, but not for the ego that I must be the one having it. And it has been proven that if that is what you have as a man, then you will spend it and you will not be account for it. Or you won't, it brings about even domination, that I'm the one providing, I'm giving you this, I'm doing this and that. And that is even what our mothers would tell us, that if you want to run away from marriage, which is toxic, where you're being beaten, she'll tell you, my daughter, why are you running away? Yet the man has given you a car, the man has given you a house over your head, the man is paying fees for your children and all this. And these are the things we cannot reconcile today. So we need to re-socialize our boys and our girls on how to spend money and how to have this money, the modern day source of wealth. And so that if this one is flashing the million he has gotten, then it brings another lesson to the others, that let me go and steal or do whatever I want to do so that I can be like so and so. There is no equality in that. There's no equity in that in that sense. So we should allow equity in spending. Yes.
It doesn't matter your time.
So that you don't indulge in corruption, in other deeds. So next time you meet, you are the one to pay the bill or to do all that kind of thing.
I'm curious to hear what Bishop has to say on this change in dynamics.
I want to say something. When it comes to money issues or money matters, there is no cardinal rule to say this is right and this is wrong. It all depends on the mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Just like I gave myself a while before and said, this is what my weakness is. Yeah. But Amos said it's not a weakness. It could also become a very positive thing in the handling of the money.
Yeah.
I want to say something. The society has evolved. And we no longer, quote unquote, look at the man as the provider.
Okay.
Once you are married or you are coming together and you begin to stay together, I'm sure before that, that's what we do in counseling. We talk about many dynamics about personality. This person is this and the other is this, an introvert, extrovert. But at the end of it all, we also talk about money management. And one thing that Doc has mentioned, there has to be a conversation about money. And I look at money conversation as very romantic as what he said. Because once you are able to open up about your weakness, the strength, how you handle things, then that becomes very romantic, because after a while in marriage or in a relationship, now as we head into knowing whether we should have joint or everybody should have their accounts, you realize that before you leave the house or in the evening before you sleep, before you pray, you are talking about money. Where are we financially? What is happening? Are we almost exhausting what we have? And what can we do? And I call it two things. I call it, you know, once you have a house over your head, then that is a house to live in. What brings in the income is a house to live on. Because in this house that you are living in, you need food.
Yes.
You need all the other supplies.
Yeah.
Do you have a house to live on? So that is what informs the conversation.
Yeah.
You say, all right, this is what we have at our disposal. These are the expenses. And this is what we want to invest in. How are we going to balance? What do we call that? Is a very romantic money matters conversation. And every family should never shy from whatever your problem is or your positive is, you should talk about that. Now, when we come to this whole issue of money and who should provide, there is the ideal and there is the reality. There is the ideal that the man should be the provider.
Yes.
But how many homes is that happening? And when it's not happening, and this is your man, you're married to them, and you're a woman, you're the one earning, or you're going to the market and you're coming with some kind of income, then you should sit together and look at this man. What is his strength?
Yeah.
Just like I said, I got married to a person who was already retired. So when you look at them, let them be able to also advise you. Let them be the custodian of whatever is coming, and maybe sit down and say, you are good with investment, because there are also strengths. I may be weak in this area, but I'm strong in the other area. What does that come to? Mutual understanding, setting of goals, agreement, as he said. You can come together and you'll never talk about money. And that is the worst relationship there can be, because you play hide and seek. You don't want to see him spending, will toa pio pesa, so you are not giving. The other one hides, sends money home, all that, because you don't want to be open with this conversation. And I want to say that happens. Unapata, the girl is even building a house for the mother. And the husband has no clue. She took a loan because she believes that this man should provide. And I don't think that is proper. There should be openness. This is what I'm bringing to the table. Mine may be more. But now again in that house, there is the man who biblically should be the head of the house. Even if he doesn't have anything, he should be able to know how you are spending your money and also give a nod and say, that's okay, I think that is okay, unless he's wicked. Because there are those who are wicked. But if he's not wicked, he will give you a nod, he will support you. If you give him a project and say, because I'm at work, you man this project, he will do it well, because it is at the end of it all, we are meeting our family's goal. I want to say one final thing. On hoarding. The Bible says, there is this parable Jesus gave, that there were talents that were given to different people. One person was given 1 talent. Another one was given 2. Another one was given 4. At the end of the day, the one with one said, you know, this boss, this master is very wicked. Mine I will just bury. And when he comes, I will give it to him. He was a hoarder. And he thought by hoarding, okay, by hoarding, maybe I will please my master. I've not wasted, no risks. You know, that's what I want to come to. But the one with 2 multiplied. And when the master came, he gave the master what he had multiplied, maybe 4. The other one had multiplied to 8. And all these 2 were glorified and told, faithful servant. The other one was told, you're wicked. So as Amos told us, some hoarding could be retrogressive. You know, but this other multiplying, because when it comes to money, yes, he said there's trauma and what have you. Now I'm the one now treating him. I want to say this. In money matters, you must be a risk taker. It's part and parcel of it. You may be careful, you may have financial advice, you may read all the books, you may even research on what you are doing, but sometimes you must be a risk taker, because if it is a farm you're cultivating or tilling, and you're hopeful because the clouds are there, it will rain, and all of a sudden after planting, rain disappears, this evil wind comes and takes away the rain, what will happen? That crop goes. Does it mean tomorrow or next season you'll not plant? No, you should gather yourself. So when you come to this issue of money, you must be a risk taker. Even me who goes to impulse buying, I'm a risk taker. But,
I see that, but I need to, but once we have these conversations on money, and we've started them, and I love the name financial romance, so it's very romantic to talk about money and all of that. And it's a good way to package it so that people talk about it more, because it's not being talked about. But how then do you know, or what are some of the traits that you can look out for an unhealthy, power dynamic kind of person who uses money for, you know, to put you down or something like that, or take away from you? What are some of the things that you can look out for? Because like Winnie said, we show up at this date. We show up, nguo safi, mtanashati. But then later on, you start picking up things. Things start happening, but you did not have the wisdom to be like, I should have seen that. I should have noted that. Anyone can go, but Amos, maybe you could just start us off.
Well, that is before marriage, right?
Before marriage, in marriage, because if you didn't have this conversation before, probably that's a red flag by itself. Now we're deep in it, and I don't know what to do.
I think it's very important, and we're having this discussion with someone.
And I was Polly. We need to go on a break. We'll pick it up from there. Saying break now. So please remember. Please remember. Nilikuwa Nakuru weekend. Our question today is: what do you think? Should we have a joint account or should we have separate accounts when it comes to marriages? Please don't go too far. We'll be right back after this break.
Back. We're in the last few minutes before we say goodbye on this Relationship Tuesday, and it's all about pulling together or separate. Is it mine? Is it yours? Is it ours? It's all about money today in marriages, and we're asking, do you think couples should maintain separate or joint accounts? Casey Annie on Facebook says, "Mimi joint account tawe." Sababu is a lie. Maybe kwa maombi. Joint account ya maombi. Maybe there's a consider. And that's, I'm looking for another comment here. I had read something very interesting that I wanted to actually
pass someone who says they should maintain both joint account for family projects and separate accounts for personal projects.
Personal projects.
What are the percentages though? Like, I don't know.
Maybe that is where now the agreement.
Agreement in Akaje. Because we're earning different amounts of money. How do we? I don't know. Yeah,
who brings what? And like Prof said, it's not like the one who brings in more should have more responsible. No, but you were talking about culturally, not in a family setting. But before you even answer the percentage in terms of how, understanding then the dynamics and how things have changed over time, there's a question you had asked.
Yes.
Before we went on break.
And
to Amos.
Amos was almost answering it, then I cut you short. But then we're looking at the traits to look out for in your partner when it comes to knowing or understanding how they treat money, their attitude towards money.
Well, I think I've recollected my thoughts. And I think Prof will agree with me. I think back then when you I don't know about it varies from culture to culture. If you wanted to get married, you would go with your friend and visit the area from which you wanted, so that you would know, hey, Daktari is a beautiful girl, but how are they in their family? Because there was the issue of, it was also always advised you marry your class. Okay.
Yes.
Both intellectually, wealth-wise, so that you're not struggling, or they are not struggling on their end. So one of the things that I tell people is also try to know the background of this person. Okay. If they are if they are used to a certain lifestyle, it's not even about them; it's about you. Can you be able at that particular point to match? Because at the end of the day, it's about you evaluating yourself. You know, sometimes we look at the people we are dating and see if they qualify.
Yes.
But we forget to look at, do we qualify?
Yes.
You know, do I qualify? Am I at a am I mentally or financially able to sustain this person?
Yeah.
And as you advance, if you're looking at a guy who is very flashy, you know, which is common sense. If someone is flashing and is carrying cash, unexplained cash,
bundles,
you understand. And unexplained deals, you're not very clear of what this person does. You know, those are signs of flashy.
No, but Amos, when a man wants a woman, he will even promise things he doesn't have. They
show up with the hired cars.
They even show up with hired cars. They even show up with hired suits. Or borrowed suits.
Hired suits.
Borrowed briefcases and all that. That's for that occasion.
So even for ladies, as you get to know them, you'll be able to know.
Really, for us ladies, what they were saying is that if you want to know a good woman, go and check how she relates with the young ones. Yes, if she's the one who throws them away and like that, that is a dangerous one.
Toxic.
That was all. But how we behave with the young ones. But you know, when a man comes, he'll come up with borrowed items and impress you. But when you go there, they even tell you that when you ask them, where is your home? They'll show you the home next, which is more beautiful or more developed.
Just that those are traits of a hunter. A hunter will use anything as a bait. So I think for that we make them pass.
So then they'll pass. So you'll not know whether that will be the reality when you go to that home.
But you're not getting married within 2 months. These things will come. Let me tell you something. You will be observant. Don't be focused. You know, sometimes I normally say, even in my field, there are people who don't listen to financial advice. Sorry, you'll forgive me. A woman listening to a prophet. A man with money will not listen to, and two people who are in love. These are very hard conversations. So even before you fall in love, before you get so attached, try to analyze. You know, if you're smart enough, you can tell. If all the time I'm available with a lot of, you will always be. There will always be a hunch. Something else will happen. Again, over time, even there are two promises. You look at this person is flashy, but look at his people. Look at the people around them. You will always be able to tell. Look at how he treats people. Look at how he respects money. Are we together? Is it a person who will all the time keep change? All the time keep change? You understand? It's some of these things you will be able to. These are things that you will see over time. And now when you get into relationships, when you find out he's too controlling, wants to know how much do you have, you get. So these are some of the things we should be able to pick up and
are they red cards?
I don't want to brand them, but also look at how he handles a loss. Yeah. Look at how he handles the loss. If, for instance, mtu ameenda na fare yake, is he jumping and throwing stones at the matatu? Are we together? He's also a person who's not very attached to money, that, you know, he can say, let me let go. For ladies, sometimes it's also very clear. If you met someone today, na gas imeisha leo, you get. I like what.
That line for
I like what Daktari said. Also, if it's a woman who says, no, I don't like being given money, that is telling you something about it. You understand?
Wait, good or bad? Because I think I'm that type who's like,
I got this, I got this.
Like you would offer and I'll be like, no, I'm okay, it's okay, no, I got this.
Yeah, but we're looking at also someone, you're also looking at someone who's, again, the same thing. Are they flashy? Also for women. There are women who are very flashy. They get money from all over. But
one for rent.
Yes. And again, also looking at, and this is very important, let us discuss, what do I want to achieve in life?
Absolutely.
If it's not aligning sometimes, because this person could be a career person who wants to fly all over the world, they are not interested, like she said. They don't like kids, and probably you're thinking of having a dozen. You know? So it's some of these things we have to be, and that's why the conversation should start on, okay, where do you want to go financially? Where do you want to go in life? How can I be of assistance? And sometimes you may not be of assistance. So it's always good to have these conversations early.
I want to say something in that regard. When I see somebody maybe trying to flash money, sometimes I don't necessarily conclude that something may be wrong with them, because there's something that I feel in the world, they call it fake it until you make it. But for us, we look at potential. In this sense, the person wants to get there. So in a way, step by step, they are trying it. You understand? They are trying it.
Want to practice
they want to practice. They are practicing. So even if it's a hired car, it may not necessarily mean that they are showing off. That's the lifestyle they want. I say this with a lot of nostalgia. When I was in university, my college room key, I used to call it my car key. And one time I would just lose it. And a friend of mine got into that vibe, and she would tell me, you know, you'll be losing your keys. I bought a car before I was married. And that exactly happened. I lost and we had to remove it, and I remembered. So what I want to say, sometimes for me, I don't look at it, maybe because I'm a Christian, a bishop. When you come neatly dressed, for me, I feel like cleanness and neatness and the way you well-groomed is close to God. And you're already valuing yourself. You have no issues with self-esteem. And you know exactly what you want. So for me, I don't look at it that way, although there are extremes where somebody is spending what they don't have. You know, we are going for a trip and somebody goes for a loan. That is the wrong reason to get money. Because how do you intend to repay that money? So that's what I feel. Now, there's something I want to say. I advocate for a joint account when you agree as a couple. But at the same time, that should be indicated that this account is for home expenses. Joint ventures, like for example, you're building, then you can use that account to do that. But when you have separate accounts, you have freedom to spend your money without necessarily calling, should I spend, should I not spend? The other advantage that separate accounts have is when you intend to have loans as a means to your goal. You want to build, loans are never bad. If they are only bad if you don't know how you are going to repay. But once you analyze and see this is what you want to do, with this business has been running, then it's time to get loan. When you have two separate accounts, it means you can get two separate loans in my name and in his name. And by so doing, two separate accounts, it's not only for freedom of spending, but also to enhance the family goals in this way. The place you're going, you can be able to harness my account and your account and be able to do that. It's only bad or retrogressive when what you earn, and probably you get a loan, because I've handled such a case. A man saw the wife with the car and came to me and said, I don't know where this car has come from. When the lady came, She told me, you know, I have an account and I'm qualified for a loan. And therefore, I decided to buy a car. I'm telling you, there was no peace in that home until that car was disposed. Wow. And the money brought and shared between the two, and the loan repaid.
And this ties in with what the CEO of Centonomy, who was in the
Fix the Nation,
Fix the Nation. He said secrecy is the issue. Why the hiding? And I know really was saying,
that is a cancer.
And then we said, how about they're just separate? They know how much is in my account, but they're just separate. It's like, that is not a secret.
Yeah.
So,
but you see, we see a lot of women who actually are being advised to have that. You know that account that nobody knows
about. Rainy day.
Hey, I must retire. Kazi inaweza potea. Something might happen. So this tutatumia hii yenye nilificha.
That is a sin. That is a sin. That's a big sin. Because once you get born again and you are married, I don't know about those who are not born again, and I don't want to talk about it. But once you're a Christian or you prescribe to a certain faith, you should be open with one another. There's something called a fixed account.
Okay.
I think in the commercial banking, we have a fixed account where you agree, both of you, this is the amount we have at our disposal. Can we put this aside
the fixed account
so that in the rainy days we can be able to reach out for that? And sometimes you're given 3 months or 6 months, you decide because of the interest that you'll earn. Now, if you are to get before, they will still give you. And therefore, for me, I go for this. Don't hide. Don't hide any money. I used to have a friend who used to hide cannot of 1,000. And that time I was so impressed because we would be stuck. We want to eat chips. Really married. And then she will chomoa this cannot. That is so folded. And I used to tell her, my God, you are the person. I have no stories like those ones of hiding. But I want to say, when you have, if you're in a relationship and you're in agreement, kindly speak about what you have. But I know it's not even women who hide. It's men.
Allah?
Men don't talk about what they have because by so doing they feel very powerful. That they can chomoa that money when there is dryness. And it's a good thing, you feel excited.
You'll be like, don't worry, I got this.
Yes, but with time, as you progress and you get into investment, there's no need for that. Because either of you can save the other.
It's true, because I had a story about a man who wanted to surprise the wife. So he was building secretly and the wife did not know about it. So, you know, this guy comes late, anapotea, you know, for like a whole week. Over the weekends, he's never around. And that created a lot of rifts in the relationship. Until one day he comes with keys and this woman is like mad. He's like, where have you been all this? And you've been cheating, da 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 da. And the man is like, no, I was building a house. And this wife was not even happy that the house is there because
I wanted to say the same. I wouldn't be happy. Like,
she was already wounded.
Yes,
she was very wounded.
So I understand when you say
and a lot of speculation.
So while you're account to feature, please. That's
it gives trust.
But I'm curious to hear.
It's not really to feature.
It's being white.
You have that account where your salary goes to, or where you are doing business for discipline purposes, and also for security, in the sense that should something happen, and you've seen some cases drag a couple to court. And if you're not careful, all of them can be put behind bars. So what will happen?
No, Prof, in this case, you know what happens? So there's a joint, okay? And then there's separate. And then uyu moja wa separate. There's also another separate that is now the secret.
I feel like
not these two candles, this other one that is secret.
You know, like we say, marriage is based on love and trust. And when we begin the journey, is that trust filled with because of love? But no, as you begin, as you keep on moving and getting to know one another, these are what I think which brings about secrecy. When you realize that this person is not being honest with me, or the way he spends, or keep on begging, even when it is your money. When it is that joint, you are forced to beg for this and that, and he has all the freedom to use and the way he wants. There's a friend of mine whose husband had a joint account. And one day she realized that the man was retrenched, those days of retrenchment, and she was only now the one whose money was going to the what? To the account.
Yes.
Then one day, the father comes to visit them to announce that the husband has another wife. And is using her money, the joint account money, because he doesn't have any other thing. What he had, they had spent it all, the package. So this woman almost ran mad. So the only thing we had to do is to help her open another account and instruct the employer to take the money there. So that she can still use this money, because the children were still very young. The first one had just gone to Form 1. And here you are having this. So when people hear such kind of stories, that is what makes us encourage couples to maintain a joint account for salaries and even for businesses. And when you have come to that understanding that you cannot betray one another, then you can opt for a joint one for a project.
Okay. Or between separate and then you can have a joint.
Later. But given the stories we have had, what happens, then it's not very good. There's also a friend of mine who was working out of the country with the UN, sending money back home for joint development and all that. When she finally came back to the country, she didn't have anything. The man had moved on with his own life because you were away looking for money. Yes, but to move on, I could not wait for you. And he has moved on with you all that money you've been saving. So when girls hear this, when the young people hear this kind of stories, the people who have gone through it, have undergone such kind of things, then they say, let us stop.
Start folding your 1,000 to both.
Let us stop. Why don't we have it separate? Later on, when we are in agreement, we can now...
As you trust each other.
The stories of mistrust is a lot. It's a lot.
Hey, clinician,
but there are women also,
time left. We have
there are women and girls who use their money to develop their home where they came from. So they have to be socialized to know the moment you leave your father's home, then whatever else you do. But I think it all comes to discipline. Whatever else you do, you must inform your spouse, because let's not also use the root. The root of evil being money coming into marriages. Because the moment I get to know you have a secret account, probably you are doing things for your family members, I will not exactly be excited. Because all we need to do is put all this, much or less, working or not working, on the table and decide this is what we can do for now, but later we shouldn't do this. And that's what I advocate for. And maybe I may be found stuck there and say both sides can be very untrustworthy. A man or a woman. You know, both of them can be very untrustworthy.
You won't tell me it is wrong to help your people?
It's not wrong, but bring it to the table and make it a part of the financial conversation. Because if I start helping my mother and my husband doesn't know, it's a form of cheating.
No, yes,
you know, cheating is not all.
These are the things you bring to the table. These are all your
That's
parents.
what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong. But one of the unfaithfulness in marriage that breaks marriage irreparably, irreparably, yes, is when you begin to cheat, even regarding issues of money. That you're doing a project, by the time your husband arrives, your mother is thanking you and other neighbors. And yet you, man, you don't know that this was going on. Let me tell you, you'll go back wherever you are and you may not sleep in the same bed.
That's true.
Bishop, there are even cases where men are paying...
you're still here.
Men are paying rents. for paying rent. To the houses which belongs to them.
It's true. Listen, we need to... Wait, what?
They are married. And they pay rent to the woman, to the wife, not knowing that that house belongs to the woman, especially now in the town setup.
Oh, she's invested in the house.
Yeah, like now in the town setup, I might be having now a studio. So they are all over. You buy.
I tell you, I found a house.
So before you married me, I bought.
Oh, so you...
That is a bad money culture.
Okay, listen.
Let the doctor tell us.
I think, because we literally have a minute. So
we are almost fighting.
Joint, separate.
Let him say something. I'm going to say.
You know, here we are dealing with also Very, very true, but negative things that have been happening.
Yes,
so we have to address that because you cannot go there. Yeah, I'll tell you, if you know you have doubts, don't do a joint account. Ignore it. But there's a bigger picture here. I'm not an advocate of people storing money in banks.
Okay.
Okay? Because these banks are taking your money to lend to others, they make more money. So there must be an aspect of investment. Unless you're talking about an emergency, which there are other means of doing the same. So I think we need to also invest with a purpose. If you save up for no reason, it is a recipe for a catastrophe, because what will happen, money will always find its way out. I keep telling people, we had a house help who used to say, give me my money at the end of the year. So we thought she had a project, so plus the bonus she's given, and she launches her safari with her cousins, which she paid for, all the way to Huisero in Western Kenya. Come second week of January, the messages you guys receive. Please call me, nitumie fare utanikana kwa mshahara. And we were wondering, even I asked her, so what happened? And she said, you know, baba yangu alikuwa anahitaji sijui baiskeli, sijui nini ili happen, kulikuwa sijui nini, and she had nothing.
Oh, go home when you dollar, my friend.
So what normally happens is that if you're in, let's say you're in a joint account, those of you in a joint account, which if you're confident enough, work with them. Please work, invest for a reason. If it's a piece of land you're buying, say in 6 months we are doing this joint account, let's save up, like she said, for investment, so that you can actually see. Are we together? But if you're saving, I keep telling people, like you said, if you're saving for no reason, please enjoy that money. Eat that money, because it is, have you ever had money that has come to you, unachuna too, but you can't tell where it is going. Then after a month you're like, where did this money come? As compared to something came and you had a project, and you're broke, you at the back of your mind you feel
good.
So let's also, because again I'll say two things. For you to succeed, whether it's joint or
separate,
there's some sort of criteria that you need to have. There are two things. You need to be very emotionally competent. What happened to other people may not necessarily happen to you. Okay? Do an audit. Know where you are. Are we together? If you're fearful, don't do it. Are we together? Then number two, you must be able to know that you cannot be attached to money. Okay? Like you said, there are people who want to surprise people they've never told anybody. Right now we have billions lying in unclaimed assets because someone died, they never...
Nobody
you understand? So we must be able to know that I want to be emotionless about money. I want to learn as much as possible. Whenever we see people going for learning lessons, so they normally put an L to say that you're learning, isn't it?
That you're
Let's not get rid of the L. Let's keep learning.
All right. We're being forced out of the studio, so I want to make a pause, and then we'll have another conversation.
Not pause for beginners. Have individual accounts for beginners.
Yes,
have an individual account. Then as time goes by, when you have the trust and you've identified what you want to do, then you can go join. But for beginners, please. Save your breath.
Your breath.
And your heart and your heart.
Everything in between. Dr. Marigoreti Ekinyi, gender and women studies from the University of Nairobi. Amos Ngahu, money coach and founder, Money Clinic Limited, and Bishop Grace Mudhoni, that is the senior pastor, Jesus Lives Ministries. Asanteni sana for your contribution. Now we know Sisi tuko wapi as far as our money personalities, are concerned. But for now, allow us to say goodbye. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Have yourselves a lovely day ahead. See you tomorrow.
And I am Wikali Mary. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye.